all you cinephiles out there in the internet. So the original plan was for this Rogue One review to be with not only myself, but it was supposed to be with Brooks. I downloaded the footage that we did of the review. If you've watched the Assassin's Creed review, we did it that same night. We did it. I downloaded it onto my computer, onto my hard drive, and as I was trying to edit the movie fight video, I had to clear out some space because my Mac had a lot of backup files and was taking all of my memory, so I had to keep deleting some files that were old, and I guess in the process it lost our Rogue One review. Instead of taking the lazy way out and just saying, oh well, we didn't do one or whatever, we did do one, and I really think that a Rogue One review should be on this channel because it's Star Wars and it was one of the movies we were very excited to watch. So here's my review. Maybe I can get Brooks to do a review. Right now Brooks is actually trying to get his own channel running, and maybe he can do a review of his own over Rogue One one day or someday or soon. I don't know. But anyway, let's get started. Rogue One. Rogue One is, first and foremost, is not a sequel to Force Awakens. There has still, for some reason, has been confusion over whether this is is this episode 8. And it's not episode 8 for those of you who went in and saw this movie and was thinking, where's Rey, where's Finn and Poe and BB-8, where are those guys? Obviously, no, it wasn't. But for those of you who have family members or friends who haven't seen the movie, who are thinking that it is that, just let them drive the nail into their heads that this is not a sequel to The Force Awakens. But also, this is a sequel to the new trilogy as well as a prequel to the original trilogy. So it's a prequel, sequel, side project movie. Yeah, that's a word. Anyway, it's supposed to be a Star Wars Anthology film, one of the first of its kind in the Star Wars franchise. You know, this is a story that has nothing to do with the Skywalkers, which is which pretty much all the Star Wars movies are based off of the Skywalker family. The original trilogy obviously being Luke Skywalker as well as Darth Vader and Leia, and then of course the prequels being about Anakin Skywalker. But this is not that. This is about Jyn Erso and a group of they're not really a group of rebel soldiers. I mean, they are rebels in a way, but the only really true rebel that is a part of the main group of guys and gals that go to get the Death Star plans is really Cassian Andor. He's part of the Rebel Alliance, and he's played by Diego Luna. My cousin loves him. And Jyn Erso is, again, not necessarily part of the Rebel Alliance, but she is daughter to Galen Erso, which, if you haven't read the book Catalyst, Star Wars Catalyst, I recommend you see it. Even if you have seen the movie already, I still recommend you read that book because it gives a lot of backstory of Galen Erso and Krennic, and just that power struggle and just the development of the Death Star in itself, and all the kyber crystal stuff that is actually in the movie as well, and it gives it a lot more backstory. And of course, this is a spoiler review, so when Galen Erso dies, after you read the book, Galen Erso's death becomes a lot more powerful to you. I thought that Jyn Erso's, who's played by Felicity Jones, was a really good character. I wish they could have done more to enhance the character, but I think they did enough for movie-wise for us to know a little bit of a backstory with the flashback at the very beginning of the movie. And I mean, it got me to care for her, and it shows what she's had to go through, kind of, in dialogue talk. Felicity Jones, I think she did a very good job at doing this character. The scene where she realizes that Galen, her father, has been pretty much been forced to work for the Empire, and he's been kind of lying to the Empire, and put, you know, the secret trigger to destroy the Death Star, and her finding out that, you know, he still cares for her and that he's still alive, stuff like that, that he's never not thought of her or whatever. Just that scene, she plays it really well, and it really impacts you. Diego Luna is a Mexican actor who plays Cassian Andor, of course, and his character is, of course, I think that's one of the weaknesses of this movie, is that all the characters pretty much could have been analyzed more. You know what I mean? Is that the word I'm trying to look for? I'm not sure. You know, they could have been talked about more, they could have expanded on their character and their background more, but if they did do that, I feel like it could have ran longer, which I guess, you know, true Star Wars fans or big Star Wars fans or just fans of this movie wouldn't have mind, but, you know, for what we got, you still got a lot of what the character is about. This is a guy who has been fighting the Empire since he was 6 years old, and the fact that it also shows that in the Rebel Alliance, it's not all, you know, goody two-shoes types of people in there. You know, Diego Luna kills his the info guy that tells him, like, hey, there's plans about this Death Star. That's what they're calling it and stuff like that, and it's a planet killer, and he has to kill him. You know, it shows that the Resistance can play dirty to other people, not just to the Empire, and that's a side of the Resistance that we've never actually seen before in Star Wars, and I think that it just brought the Resistance some darkness to it that we never really knew that it had, and it shows a different side of the Resistance. And also shows Cassian's character shows that, you know, he doesn't like the fact that he does these. He doesn't like the fact that he has to go to somebody who's probably given him intel about the Empire, the true enemy, and then probably has to kill him off because, you know, maybe that guy might be in cahoots with somebody else and they never know, you know. And he doesn't like the fact that he does that, so to see that was pretty interesting. The characters that I thought were pretty much throwaways but were still really cool were Donnie Yen's character, Chirrut Imwe, I think was his name, the blind wannabe Jedi guy. According to his character, he knows the Force, but he's not a Jedi. And his companion is basically his like a guardian, I guess, of to him, is kind of like his eyes, even though with the Force he can pretty much kind of see. He's like the Daredevil of the Star Wars universe. But those two characters were the ones that really were still shrouded in mystery, but, you know, they were cool, and what they did show was that their friendship was really well handled, and they were, you know, they were pretty much family in a way. Forrest Whitaker's character, Saw Gerrera, was a pretty interesting character. I have not seen Star Wars Rebels. I've heard really good things from it, and of course Saw Gerrera is in that TV series on Disney XD. But you know, for my first impression of Saw Gerrera's character, played by Forrest Whitaker, was, I don't know, weird. I didn't really know what to feel about him, and, you know, I kind of liked him, but there were times where it's just like, I don't know about this. But then again, I don't know Saw Gerrera from Star Wars Rebels, so maybe I can get some more information if I ever go watch that. And I also got to say that Star Wars has been killing it with the new droids that they've been introducing with not only BB-8, but in this movie, K2SO. K2SO is voiced by Alan Tudyk. I believe his last name is Alec Tudyk. He also voiced another robot in iRobot, Sonny. But K2SO is probably one of the best characters of this movie. He's probably going to be one of the favorites of everybody's. He brings the humor. It's not forced in humor. It's not like Jar Jar Binks type humor. It's very good timing humor, and it makes I mean, it gets the whole crowd laughing, I think. He's a programmed Imperial droid, stolen by the rebels, and you know, he was probably one of my favorite characters by far. I gotta also say that, you know, the CGI resurrection of Peter Cushing as Grand Moff Tarkin was, for a second there, it really did fool me to be like, oh wow, they got somebody to look like Peter Cushing. But then of course, as the scenes go on with him, you can kind of tell in his eyes and his face a little bit that it is purely CGI. Still, I mean, it's still great to see you know, a CGI Peter Cushing on the screen. I mean, it doesn't really bother me to that much as some people do, but you know, you had to have Grand Moff Tarkin in this movie because it does take place in that timeline. Also, talking about CGI actors, we had a CGI at the very end of the movie. You had a CGI Princess Leia, a 19-year-old Carrie Fisher, and I wasn't expecting that. I thought, you know, I heard rumors of Princess Leia being in it just for a brief second, but I thought maybe we'd see the back of her, that's it, or we'd see an actress who kind of looks like Princess Leia, looks like a younger version of Carrie Fisher. But she turned around and she said that hope line. I mean, I was blown away. It was like, holy crap, that's 19-year-old Carrie Fisher. That's Princess Leia that I've seen in A New Hope. And you know, that was pretty cool to see, even though the Benjamin Button technology is not up to what it probably will be later on in life. It's still great to see. The space battle in this movie was also fantastic. It was probably one that could rival the space battle from Return of the Jedi. You know, the music, the unused footage from the 80s that they actually put into this movie was really well used and was so smooth, and it was just action-packed, and it was, you know, it was very, very nostalgic because we didn't get a big space battle in The Force Awakens, and we got one in this. And of course, why wouldn't I do a review on Rogue One without talking about what's going to be the famous, if not already, the famous Darth Vader scene. Last time we saw Darth Vader was obviously in 2005 with Revenge of the Sith. And the last image of Vader that we ever got was him screaming. Yeah, no good. No, this is not the image that we wanted to last see Vader doing. Vader kind of became a joke after that. But I can assure you, to me anyway, and to a lot of other people, that this movie redeems Vader as being a badass, terrifying villain. Except the little pun that he made, but whatever, I can forgive that. But of course, when you think the movie's over, and you hear Peter Cushing's Grand Moff Tarkin say, let Vader take out the rebels, or whatever, take out the fleet, and it's nearing the end, they're getting the plans on the little floppy disk looking thing, and the lights shut off in one little area, and the door jams, and all you see is just pitch black and smoke, and you hear some metal crushing, and you hear that infamous breathing from Vader. And then all of a sudden, out of the pitch darkness, you see a red saber come out. And it's just like, oh, it's on. It's probably one of the best scenes ever to come out of Star Wars. And because it's Vader in his prime, kicking ass. He's using force chokes to throw rebel soldiers everywhere. He's blocking, ray gun blast with his saber. He's using the force aggressively to block ray gun blast also without having to use his saber at times. And he's just cutting people up, and it's terrifying but cool at the same time. This is the Vader we want. This is the Vader we've always wanted. So thank you, Rogue One, for redeeming our Darth Vader. The fans salute you. So overall, this movie was really good. This was very fan service, in a very good way, fan service movie. This is an important movie because it expands on the original trilogy a lot, while also giving the whole saga of Star Wars some new worlds and a new story to tell that we've only heard little bits and pieces of in the original film. And I mean, you know, when they say many people died to get these plans, you now have a face to put to those people. They're not just random people. It makes more of an impact. So my rating for this movie is 8.5 out of 10. What do you guys think of the movie? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to click that like button if you like this video. Share it with your friends, family, dogs, whatever. Until next time, I'm out.